Hey everybody, The Great Escape here, and welcome to another episode on our Minecraft YouTube channel. Today we're on a massive super flat world to play around a little bit with some of the new villager mechanics and things and see what we can discover. I'm not necessarily... I don't know why I did that. I'm not necessarily promising that we will get a farm out of this or anything like that, but this is laying the groundwork for hopefully a future iron farm, and maybe we'll figure out the village breeding mechanics and things like that in this video. But let's go ahead and grab some materials that we might need and start playing around with these new concepts. Alright, so in the old version of Minecraft, so before 1.91 dropped, or if you're on Bedrock or Java, 1.14, the villages were determined by one thing, doors. And doors that had access to sunlight helped to create a village. And so, you know, all of our farms and things depended upon having certain numbers of doors and in certain arrangements and far enough away from other doors and all kinds of things so that we could create villages that would be centered around a location. I think that's the central block. Anyway, but that has all changed. Let me get rid of these guys. Boom. All right, cool. All right, so that has, however, all changed. Now, there are three things that are required for villages to be recognized. One, you need beds for villagers to sleep in. You need some kind of blocks that will give the villagers a job, and these are the ones that I'm aware of. I think barrels might also be, but I'm not sure, so we'll check that today. But things like the loom, the lectern, the blast furnace, the smoker, the cartographer's table, the composter, the grindstone, the stone cutter, the Fletcher's table, and the crafts table. What is that one called? The smithing table. These would be the things that would create the jobs that you'd be familiar with in your world. And there's some pretty cool mechanics that are involve these, especially if you're in the market for a villager trading hall, and you know, your villager breeder, you're getting a bunch of clerics or other kind of villagers that maybe you don't necessarily want. There's a way to turn them all into librarians or different things using these features. And then the final thing that creates a village is the bell. And so you need these three items in order to create a village. So what I've got is a kind of like a little test area over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that bell here in the center of the test village, and that's going to kind of signify the center point of the village. The villagers will all gather around here when they're doing things, but everything else is impacted by distance. So if I have a bell over here, that's going to be too close. Let me get rid of that. And same thing with beds and also these guys. These will potentially impact the village. But I think the range is something like 48 blocks. So if I have some beds 48 blocks over there, the villagers in here will still be able to recognize them. But if they are, you know, 60 or 70 blocks away, the villagers in here will not recognize them. So that's that. All right, so the next thing you need is beds. And so if I'm kind of just creating, let's just say I'm creating kind of a village breeder scenario here, I can go ahead and just pop out a zone. And these walls, I think, are 17 wide. Oops. So you can have that, and so I'm going to pop these beds in here, and you need every villager in your world needs a bed. So the number of beds you have will determine how big your village can become. Now obviously on PS4 there are limitations to the number of villagers that can exist in the world at any one time, so you know, I imagine this will be enough, but if you breed villagers in a situation and then you move them off somewhere else outside of the 48 range, then more villagers can breed in this area. All right, and so let's get a couple villagers in here and see what happens just with our current setup right now. Let me find that. I just had it, and then I foolishly erased my hotbar. Alright, there we go. So let's get just a couple villagers in here. Alright, so as you can see, they're starting to recognize this as a village. So we've got these two guys here. They recognized the bell, and they each claimed a bed. So these two beds over here are claimed. Now, interesting thing, the moment you start your village, you will get cats. I'm not exactly sure what the spawning radius is for cats, but as you can see, I got 2, now 3 cats. So any kind of village farm you create will also probably create a cat farm. Now, one thing that might be is you might not need a bell in order to create like a breeding village, but we're going to play around with that today. But I know that will create this village setup here with cats spawning and things like that. Now, these villagers here, they do come. So this is a Fletcher, and this guy over here is a leather worker. So they do come with jobs fresh out of the eggs, but they do not, however. I'm not sure, but I don't actually know what I was going to say. Anyways, they don't come out of the flake. So if you capture a couple villagers, these are not necessarily the 2 types of villagers you want for trading and things like that. Although I guess Fletcher, I guess you get some emeralds from there, and a leather worker, you could potentially get some interesting things. But there's a really cool feature that you can now do. So if I take a lectern and I pop a lectern right here and here, eventually these, there you go, they automatically changed. So each of these guys now has a new profession, and the type of job the type of block that's nearby them will change their profession. So now both of those villagers that I had, who were relatively worthless in the realm of trading, are now very useful. But if I were to get rid of these, notice they turn back into these villagers no longer have jobs, but I can immediately turn them into, now they are toolsmiths. So the cartography table does toolsmith, or the smithing table does toolsmithing. The Fletcher would come from the fletching table. The mason will come from the stone cutter. Oh, come on, kitty. There you go. There we go. So now we've got a stone mason, so you can get bricks and things. The grindstone gives you the weaponsmith. The composter will give you the farmer. Let's see what the smoker gives us. Anything here? Oh, there we go. There's our butcher. The blast furnace gives us the armorer. The loom gives us our shepherd. And the cartography table gives us our cartographer. And does the barrel, here's the test, does the barrel give us anything? The barrel gives us a fisherman. There we go. Now, the one I haven't quite figured out is the cleric. Where do you get the cleric from? So give me a second to play around with some different items and see if we can end up with a cleric. There we go. So our brewing stands will create our clerics. Now, as you can see, when I delete one of them, he goes back to being an unemployed villager, and this one will also do the same. Now, unfortunately, when you do that, let me see, he has to move, there he goes. He did that, and then he doesn't make him happy. He gets those things over there. So you can do this. So if you're looking for a bunch of farmers to trade, you just need a bunch of composters. And so now all these guys are farmers, and you can get up a bunch of farmers and create your village farms, or you can do whatever, and that's going to create this thing. So as you breed them up, that'll happen. Now, as far as how to get food and things, obviously you could just with this setup here, let's just go ahead and till up all this soil and get some water blocks in here. Alright, so now we have a zone where our villagers can actually plant crops. So let me give them a bunch of carrots here and put them to work. He's going to stare at those carrots. Is he going to pick them up? He's really interested in that chicken. Come on, buddy. You want these carrots. Hey, you pick those up. Now, is he going to plant them? There he goes. So he's planting up those carrots now. There we're going to go. We're going to get all those carrots planted. Make sure they've got enough in their inventory. And just as usual, they're going to go about their duties and their jobs to make sure that you know, the village is taken care of with enough food and things like that. But once they get those, they might start the breeding process. Now, yesterday before the bug patch went out, literally the moment you got any two villagers together and you gave them some food, it was just rampant. Villagers were popping up left and right. But it looks like things have been fixed with the new update, so we'll see how that goes. Let me watch them a little bit and we'll see if we can get some love hearts going here and get some new villagers in our world. Now, I've been watching these guys for a little while, and they're not seeming very interested into each other, but I am unlocking slowly their trades. And if you'll notice, when I first spawned them in, they did not have a gold piece there. It was a little like tin, like bronzish color. But now they have a gold piece there. They're level 2 farmers. And as you unlock new trades, it'll show you the trades that are available, and then it'll show you the trades coming on the next level once you level them up. And now if you'll notice, those trades are locked now. And this one, he's locked. He's unlocked. Every now and then they will lock up and they will have to return to their job site, which in this case are these composters over here, and that will unlock their new trade. So here he goes. He's going back to his job site. And he's unlocked. He's still locked. Let's see. There he goes. So he's unlocked now. So I think it happens a couple times a day, they will unlock all their trades. So it is helpful to have several villagers of the same type in order to make sure that you have those trades unlocked. Almost there. And then melon slices. Now, the reason I started trading with them is because I wanted to see if they would get happy and start breeding, because that always was one of the cases in the past that would happen. But as you can see, now that he's a master level, he has a diamond right there. So you can keep track of your unlocked villagers that way, and you still get experience from things. They are not seeming very interested in each other. Haven't gotten the breeding to happen yet, but I'm going to keep watching them and playing around with their different mechanics. But one thing you can do, let me make them not farmers and see if that does anything. Boom. They will stay farmers for now until they move. When they pathfind, they're supposed to change. So let's see if they pathfind here in a second. No, they maintain their farmer status. That's good. But once you present them with a new block and they pathfind again, they will change into their new jobs. Or not. Maybe I locked them up when I traded with them. That would be something new to discover, which would be interesting. There we go. So the villagers started throwing food to the farmer. Or no, to the librarian, and now they're there. I summoned in a couple more villagers just to see, and they did that. It might have been because the farmers both had food already, so they didn't feel the need to share food, but now they've got people to share food with. And so we got our little baby villager, and if you notice, when your new villager pops in, there'll be a little green thing that pops over the bed, which will let you know which beds are currently claimed. And there we go, we get some more. And let's see if I can catch it when it happens over here. Well, we did get the one. So now yesterday there would be 30 villagers in here because the breeding was all messed up. And so I don't know if the breeding mechanic has now been broken the opposite direction, but we'll see. Let me know down in the comments how many of you are having luck with the new village breeding mechanic. What are you noticing? And what kind of things are you discovering? But if you notice now, there's 4 villagers in here and there's 4 lecterns. Those are their jobs. These farmers should not have this job. They should be switching off to another job, but because they currently don't have a job site for a farmer, but they are still staying farmers. This little guy, if you can see, he is currently not anything because he's a child, but when he grows up he will not have a job because he will not have a job site to go to. As far as, there we go, I missed it over here. So they're deciding to go. So now we've got 2 little kids. So when they grow up, we'll give them a little bit of time to age up, and we'll see if they just as a test, see if they choose a profession or if they stay as an unemployed profession, and then we will see if we can assign them a profession using our crafting table. So let them grow up, and then I'll be right back. As I'm sitting here waiting, the night has come, and you will notice that all of your villagers will go to sleep in beds. This one has decided that he doesn't know how to sleep in a bed. But they'll all sleep in beds, and these are the beds that they've claimed. So we still have several unclaimed beds, and while I was just sitting here watching, we got another little guy. So the villager breeding is definitely not as fast as it was yesterday, but it is still happening, and so that's going to kind of continue. Now I'm going to let them go through their natural day cycle, because in the villager coding, apparently, there are some different things that they... Oh, a cat spawned in a wall. That's sad. Anyway, there's some natural coding that goes into the villagers, and they have different things they do at different times of day. Like they'll get together and gossip at certain parts of the day. They will, go to their job sites at certain parts of the day, and they'll do different things. So I'm going to let them run through a full day and see what kind of changes happen. They haven't spawned any golems yet, which I think they have to feel threatened or afraid to want to spawn a golem, so that's my next test. But I'm going to let them run through the night and then run through the early morning and see what happens, and see if we get any more little guys spawning out of this very simple setup right here. But we have, I spawned in 4 with eggs, and we've gotten 3 new villagers just from that experience. So let me go ahead and let them run through their day, and then I will be back with you all. Alright, so after they woke up, we got another baby villager, and then one of them grew up, and it took the profession of the librarian, because that's what's available. So let me go ahead and pop in some more librarian, or some lecterns here, and that should, as they grow up, they'll all become librarians. Now, I'm not getting any sense that they are in the mood to create a any kind of... Oh, they're breeding again. Any kind of thing. So I'm going to make them feel a little threatened. Let me grab a zombie. Let me grab a gate, maybe? Or a wall. And I'm going to create a little kind of a thing here. Let's see. Alright, let's see if this... Oh, wait. Does that make them feel threatened enough to spawn a... Well, now we started with 4. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as it was yesterday, of course, but it's pretty good. Now, so I've got a zombie there. Maybe that'll make them feel a little threatened. In fact, let's open this up a little bit and make them feel even potentially more threatened. And see what happens. See if we can get an iron golem to spawn in this zone. We'll keep an eye on it. But this is kind of the last big test, is to see if I can get them to spawn an iron golem. based off this, but just off of this video today already, you can figure out how to make your farms. Just get a couple villagers and give them the farmer command. And then with breeding, as you can see, as long as they have food sources, and as the farmers are providing with the food sources right now, they will continue to breed. So let me leave them alone and see if at any point they decide to spawn some protection from that zombie there who's threatening them. So in a random whatever, I just rang the bell to see if that would make them aware of the threat currently on them, and they all ran over here to their beds, which I guess would be in a regular village would mean them running into their homes. But as you can see, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4 baby villagers. So again, we started out with 4 that I spawned in, and now we have 7 new villagers in the world with them. So as a villager breeder, this is working out pretty well. Our villager world is expanding and growing. So this setup works. I'm going to continue to let it run to see if that iron golem spawns, but looking like this might be all we learned from today so far. Well, we did not get an iron golem as far as I can tell, unless they happened while I wasn't looking and they were killed by all of these mobs. Anyway, but we did get a bunch of cats because apparently they breed in villages. And then also, I mean, again, we started with 4 villagers and we're now up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 villagers. So bring 4 villagers over, pop them into a situation like this, and you will have all the villagers. And notice that all the ones that have grown up have turned into librarians because that's the only job that I have available for them. The farmers have stayed farmers, which I didn't think was the rule, but that seems to be what has happened. So I'm going to continue to play around with this and try to figure out the iron golem situation, but I thought I would share with you some of my explorations and experimentations with the new villager mechanics. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you'd like to see more like it, please subscribe. It really does help out the channel. The likes do as well. But thanks for joining me. This has been The Great Escape, and I will see you next time.